Hello friends, in this video I will talk about Anthos. What is Anthos and why to use it to manage multiple Kubernetes clusters in hybrid environment. And I will also touch upon some of its main components. So first, let's try to understand what is hybrid environment. Hybrid environment here means that you can run your Kubernetes cluster either in Google Cloud or in other cloud like AWS, or it could be in your on-premise data center. In fact, most of the large organizations these days have multiple Kubernetes clusters in more than one environment, and they manage each cluster separately. Having and managing each cluster separately has some real concerns because each cluster has its own dashboard, or you can say cluster management application. So your team will have to continuously monitor those clusters separately, which is very tedious and time consuming. Also, managing the life cycle of these clusters, deploying application on those clusters, ensuring consistent security policy for all of them is not easy, especially when they are hosted in the different environments. Each environment might be using different set of tools to monitor and manage each individual cluster. So you have to train your team for all those tools, which is again very difficult task. And definitely retaining those employees in such environment is also very challenging. To address these issues, in April 2019, Google came up with another product known as Anthos to manage the multiple Kubernetes cluster in hybrid environment. Like here, these three represent the three different Kubernetes clusters running in three different environments. First one is running in AWS, second cluster is running in Google Cloud, and this one is running in your own premise data center. Anthos provides solution to all these challenges by providing a single interface to manage all these individual clusters in more efficient way, even if they are non-GKE clusters. It is like one more meta control plane on top of the control plane of each individual Kubernetes cluster. By using this single control plane of Anthos, you can manage the life cycle of each registered user cluster. You can deploy application on any of these clusters by using this single meta control plane. And you can apply the consistent security policy for all these clusters even if they are running in different environment. It provides easy portability and no locking is required. You do not need to restrict yourself to a single environment. Google Cloud and Thos allow customers to focus on their skills on a single technology rather than relying on the certified experts in different cloud technology. In this case, whenever you want to create a new Kubernetes cluster or you want to deploy your application on existing Kubernetes cluster, then you just have to deal with Anthos. You do not need to learn different cloud technologies. Anthos provide consistent development and operation experience for the hybrid and multi-cloud environment. And by using Anthos, it becomes really easy to build, deploy, and optimize the application anywhere in more flexible and secure way. Here in this diagram, you can see that two Kubernetes clusters are deployed. Your on-premise cluster is managed by GKE on-prem and cluster in GCP is managed by GKE. Both GKE and GKE on-prem are connected to this component which is running in Google Cloud. Name of this component is GKE Connect Agent. With GKE Connect, you can register both on-premise and GKE cluster, and this component is responsible to provide a centralized UI to manage all the clusters registered with Anthos. This diagram here represents some of the main components of Anthos. Apart from providing a single management interface, Anthos also provides a set of tools to manage a reliable service. You might have heard about the service mesh design pattern in microservice. In microservice architecture, service mesh handle the common concern for all the microservices like service discovery, load balancing, failure recovery, logging, and monitoring. Anthos use Istio to implement its service mesh, which is well-known tool in market to implement the service mesh. Anthos service mesh is deployed as network proxy alongside with your application in container. This pattern is also known as sidecar pattern. This proxy intercepts all the traffic coming in and going out of your service and provide common features required by all the services. Anthos Service Mesh maintains a service registry of all the services in the mesh by name and by their respective endpoints. It maintains the registry to manage the flow of traffic. By using the service registry and by running the proxy side by side with the service, the mesh can direct traffic to the appropriate endpoint. Another important component of Anthos is its centralized configuration management. Anthos uses Git repository for its centralized configuration management. Here, this GKE and GKE on-prem represent the computation environment in Anthos cluster, and each cluster has one agent process running inside them, that is configuration management operator. This config management operator allows you to deploy and monitor the configuration changes stored in this central Git repository. Since both the environments are connected via cloud interconnect, so both the environments can talk to each other. And this Git repository has all the configuration files in YAML format. This repository provides a versioned, secured, and controlled single source of truth for all the Kubernetes configuration. Here, YAML file is used because Kubernetes clusters manage their state in declarative manner by using the YAML file. Whenever there is any commit in this Git repository, then both these agents will listen to that change and read the configuration file which is just committed, and then deploy the configuration change in the respective cluster. Another interesting feature of Anthos is integration with Google Cloud Marketplace. By using Anthos, you can install even third-party applications from the marketplace to your on-premise Kubernetes cluster, which is managed by Anthos. You can also use Cloud Run with Anthos. And these days, Anthos is a preferred way to manage the multiple clusters in hybrid environment.